Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Fresh Crits of Melbourne. We are in sunny South Australia for the 2024 Masters National Titles. And this is day 3 or day 4 of the titles, and we've got the Masters 1 and 2 crit race right here on your screens right now. So where are we? We are in sunny South Australia in a little country town called Luxton. And where the hell is that? Well, look at this incredible animation sponsored by Google Earth to show you exactly where we are. South Australia, right near the Murray River, 2 hours west of Mildura. And for a fun fact, you are not allowed to bring any fruit and other vegetables, I believe, into South Australia. And I know this all too well, getting pinged 375 Australian dollars for doing so. So please do some subscribing because it's going to help me out. And I've actually got a bone to pick with some of you. Yes, that's right. 52% of you guys aren't subscribed. So do me a favor, do yourself a favor. If you want to see more of these videos, smash that subscribe button as hard as you can. Okay, enough of that corny stuff. What are we doing here? This is the crit race. We've had a day of rest after the TT and the road race, and now we're on the main streets of Luxton. I guess it's worth pointing out a little bit about the course. Because we're here, this is the fast right-hander. That one's a really technical sort of corner, so it does give you that opportunity to kind of split the group. But I do want to talk about the group. So we've got 4 riders, including myself, who ended up to be pretty similar sort of skill levels, and it's worth talking about them now. We've got Josh Brooker. We've all seen JB before, proper diesel sort of guy, and now becoming a TT powerhouse, so watch this space. And the rider right behind him, number 272 in the white kit, riding an S5. They're very popular down here in South Australia. That's Darryl Margrate. Now, this guy is an aero beast. He's gone all in on the aero gains. Aero helmet, aero socks, aero overshoes. Those bars, I don't know how wide they are. I'm assuming custom-made 36s, maybe measuring 34 at the hoods. Darryl, pipe up in the comments, let us all know, but they look sick. He gives a horrible draft. It's a miserable experience. And surging up the berg here, number 266, is James Bartlett, hailing from Queensland. Proper powerhouse sort of rider. Big, strong, provides a good sit, but makes you absolutely earn it. So and then there's myself, which a shit sprinter I'd probably call myself. That's the makeup of the riders. For this one, I didn't want to have a look at heart rate. I didn't want to have a look at power, so I had a completely blank data screen on my Garmin, which I've been playing with a lot recently, and it works. I definitely would recommend anybody trying that. So we've just come around the corner for lap number 3, and the race, how do I say it? It's been pretty defensive, to be completely honest. Nothing's going to be getting away with only 4 riders. It's not hard enough to really split the group. And looking back at the footage, I spent way too long on the front. I don't know what I was thinking, but I guess I wanted to keep the tempo up. I didn't want it to be slow to have to surge across the brakes, so I stayed on the front the majority of the race. Now, coming into this, JB did help me a lot in the road race, so this was kind of like, I'm not going to say I rode for him, but I rode for myself, but rode in a way that allowed him to be able to hide out of the wind and keep him nice and rested. As you see James send another attack on the outside there, I look around asking who's going to cover that, because it's been me that's been covering it all day. But little do I know, the other riders, they are struggling, and I'm also struggling. Every time I hit this berg, my heart rate's spiking up to 190, which is, that's not a good place I want it to be. And to be honest, I think James probably did deserve the most aggressive rider of the day. He was the one that was sending the attacks, making it really, really hard for everyone. And you look around here, coming into 2 laps to go, he's established a pretty tidy break. He's probably got, I would say, 100 metres. You can see the sign on the left here. He'd have 100 metres on us quite easily here. And I'm thinking right now, this race is over. You know, no one's looking really too keen to catch it, but anything can happen on this berg. You can see here, Darryl didn't want to come through, so I thought I'd put him in the hurt locker with 2 laps to go here. I try to drop him on the wheel, but you know, everyone's a very similar ability. Where I think we're different is I've got a bit more of a sprinting background. Meanwhile, Darryl is a bit more of a TT sort of diesel sort of operator. You can see I'm getting a little bit frustrated there because no one's really pulling through. No one's doing any work. I'm asking the question, this is your race, this is your jersey on the line too, so help me out. But you can see these turns are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and the gap to James is naturally increasing at the front. So I didn't want to come second in this race. I didn't want to lose this race to a late attack like this. So naturally, I got on the front again and tried to up the tempo, always making it hard on this corner here, kind of playing games, try to hit that apex, but mostly on this next corner because I did notice there's a bit of weakness. A lot of the riders would drop my wheel off here, so I tried to hit this one really hard, really fast, and you can see here the gap that I've created behind me to Daryl. Now forcing him to chase back on. Now we spoke at the pub after this race, and you can look in the rear cam. I'm not making it too hard for him to come across. I'm making it so easy that the man's taking a drink. So harder for me than it was probably for him, but nonetheless, there was nothing more I could really do, to be honest. We're coming into the bell lap here, and that gap to James, it's increasing lap by lap, but little do we know, the man's getting tired. Brooker, you can see in the rear cams, he's in all sorts right now. I've never seen a pain face like that. He is ST ruggling, the poor man. Doesn't like going up this berg a whole bunch of times. It's been a hard race for all of us. So coming into last lap, this is bell lap, and I'm thinking, all right, well, if he's not going to pull through, I'm going to put everyone in the locker. I'm going to do a big surge to try to bridge across over to James and see if we can stay away. I'm channeling my inner Primoz Roglic and doing my best teleport to get across to him. Now he's fading. You can see James is really fading on this berg. And we get to the top here, and as we come around this corner, like I said before, I'm not looking at my data. I'm peaking, 191 beats. I'm absolutely cooked. He turns around and asks me, mate, can you pull through? I'm like, mate, I'm cooked. You got to help me. And I think this is the major issue that we have in this race, is no one is willing to do any work. And you can see the guys in the rear cam, they're chasing hard to come back. I think Josh has sat in. He's forced Daryl to bridge across, which is working in his favour. And James has asked me to pull through. Now, hindsight, 2020, you know, I probably should have pulled through. I probably should have done more work here, but you know, split decisions, 184 beats, you're cooked. You're just not too sure. So you try to find your little bits of recovery on this berg, coming down here, trying to split the group on this corner, rail it as hard as I can, try to create separation. But you can see in the rear cam, the group's caught back on. They weren't going to give us much of a gap, and that's exactly what's happened. So we're essentially now coming into the last corner, 500 meters or so to go. You can see it there on the left, and we're all back together. And to make matters worse, I'm sitting on the front of the bike race, which is never where you want to be on the last lap. Now, keeping in mind, it is a little bit different with this because we're coming into it's a climb, so the draft effect isn't as big as it would be as if you were sitting at the back. But look at us all just spread across the road. And all I'm thinking to myself is, when do I go? You don't want to go too early and blow, but really, you should have just launched it, because at the end of the day, I think I had the power to take us across the line. But it's Josh, the diesel man, who launches the first attack, and he's got this by a mile. I'm stoked to see the man win. I'm not going to chase him down. I post up very, very early when I see behind that I've got second place secured, and we roll across the line as training partners, as mates, first and second. It's been a highly successful campaign for us. We came in here doing a whole bunch of training. You can check out my Strava, check out all the sorts of efforts and miserable sessions that we've had in the Dandenongs, getting rained on, miserable experience, and it's all paid off because we've wrapped up the Masters state titles with first and seconds across the board. So I'm super, super stoked for the man as he collapses on the ground. And on purpose, I put my rear cam just so it's facing him to watch the man die in agony. What an absolute incredible experience it was. So stoked for the man. He's absolutely cooked. Look at the state of him. Good racing to all the boys. And look, I encourage any of the other Masters races to get down for the next Masters titles. They're so much fun. Everyone's always in good spirits. It's Masters racing. We're all mates. We go to the pub after the race. There's no aggro. It's all a bunch of fun. And to be honest, for those elite guys watching this, Masters racing is where it's at. That's when racing gets really, really hard. But look, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap for this short episode of Fresh Crits. Let me know in the comments what you want to see. What can I do differently on Fresh Crits? I would love to hear your feedback, your advice. Thanks all for watching. Please subscribe and see you on the next one. Ciao.
Come on, up you get. Well done.